We got Aspen Ladd back here on the program. Who's going to be rematching Sijara Eubanks at UFC Rochester on May 18th. Aspen, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty darn well.
That's good. I like to hear that. So there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, before we talk about the fight with Sijara, you're supposed to fight Holm at UFC 235, and then casually at the press conference, Dana White mentions that the fight's off. Did you find out then, or did you know before that?
No, I found out the same time everybody else did. At that moment, well, not even at that moment, because I was sparring at the time, getting ready for the fight, very specific type stuff. She's an interesting opponent to get to, face and get ready for. I hopped out of the ring, and then my entire family had blown up my phone. I had like 10, 12 messages, and that's how I found out.
Oh no. Okay. So then, what happens after that? I'm sure you talked to your manager, your coaches. Was there any talk of trying to get this fight back, or what sort of proceeded after you found out the news?
I mean, there was, but nothing concrete because she never signed a contract, nothing like that. And I know they didn't really sign a deal, I think, till maybe about a month ago. But we weren't aware of that. And I think the UFC kind of prematurely, hey, this fight's going to happen, check this out, before she had signed. So that's what went wrong there.
Okay. And have you talked to Holly's team at all? Like, probably not you specifically, but has your manager or anyone else?
No, no, not that I'm aware of, at least not recently.
So how did that impact your camp? I know you're always I mean, anyone who follows you on Instagram, you're in the gym all the time. I'm sure they probably have to keep you away, if anything. But you're getting ready for this fight, and then you find out it's off. How were you able to reset and make sure that you're not overtraining?
I was in the next day, just back to normal training, maybe a little bit easier than the previous day, but you just got to keep at it because at that point I knew, okay, this fell through, something else is going to happen. And I wasn't sure when or what, so you have to stay training.
And you're fighting Sijara Eubanks, which again is a rematch. Like I mentioned, you guys fought in Invicta. It's on paper it's a good rematch, but are you a little bit disappointed you didn't get another opponent just because Sijara is sort of new to the weight class, and you're coming off a really big win over Tanya Evinger?
Not at all. I'm not disappointed in any opponent they give me. I mean, she's a tough fight. We've both done a lot better since the first one. There's nothing to be disappointed about. I have another fight, another opportunity to go do what I love to do. I'm excited.
I like the attitude. That's good. What about in terms of her skill set? I'm sure I don't know if you watch tape or if that's something your coaches do, but where do you feel like she's improved since the first time you guys fought?
Her striking's definitely improved. I think she's, as I have, she's improved as a martial artist, period. It'll be a good one.
Were you expecting to see her in this weight class at some point? Because we know some of her struggles she had making 125.
Definitely. She seemed like she was dying trying to make that weight. So I was like, okay, it's only gonna be a matter of time, and I wonder if they'll end up doing that. I was always curious because we have fought before, and I thought it might be something the UFC would be interested in doing, and it ends up it happens. So
Exactly. Okay. And where do you feel like you've improved more since the first time you guys fought? I mean, you're still relatively young. It seems like every fight we're seeing more and more of your skill set and more of an evolution in your game.
I've improved everywhere with helping my coaches. We just continue day in and day out, and there's these little differences every single fight. You just get a little better if you never really leave the gym and you always listen and try to improve.
How are the dogs, by the way? I just see you petting them there. They're pretty good co-hosts, I must say, or co-interviewers, I should say, on this because they're not making any noise. That's good.
That's what I've tried to keep her from doing. She's good right there. She wants attention.
That's good. Yeah, you got to do the petting. That stuff's important. Let's talk about training camp. I know you were a part of, and I know you've trained with her before, Marion Renault. I know she had her fight recently. You got to work with her. How much of a benefit was that getting to work with her? And then obviously you have this fight booked, so I'm sure you're just keeping that momentum going.
No, Marion is a fantastic training partner and friend, so it's invaluable getting to train with her every time between fights, my own fights and hers. It helps a lot.
And how much wisdom does she sort of give? Because I know one of the things I hear from some of the people that train with her is she's just got so much knowledge to give, and she has that experience as well.
She really does. Marion is an excellent jiu-jitsu player and a really, really good coach. She has her own gym now, and that's what she does. But even before that, the way that she explains things and the way that she's very intricate with details, she's amazing.
Who else are you training with as far as partners? I know we had Max Griffin just fight last weekend. I imagine the same training partners, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. All the great fighters at MMA Gold.
Yep, all the same guys. Some new faces. I got this one kid I'm training with a lot, Adam Avita now. You'll be hearing about him in a couple years. Yeah.
I like the
Same with
plug. I
Errol.
think that's good. A lot of time when fighters, when I ask them about training partners, they're just like, "Oh, you probably haven't heard of them." I'm like, "Well, let's hear about them. Let's hear about these names because especially now with things like Contender Series, you're seeing a lot of these fighters get opportunities, and so I like the plug there. I got to give you props for that." I gotta ask. I asked every fighter this, but I gotta ask you as well. Obviously, the weight cut. I imagine that process has already started. How's all that going? Getting down to 35.
Dude, this is the easiest I've ever had as far as a weight cut. I'm already at 145. Like I've never been this low, this far out from a fight. I mean, part of that it has to do big time with the fact that I had to fight Holly before, and I was already pretty lean, pretty low. Just kept it going.
That's great. Okay, and I imagine are you working with the PI? Is that who's helping you with your cut?
No, I'm working with Douglas Casebeer, so my nutrition and strength and conditioning coach.
And is there like a go-to meal you have during camp? Like, a lot of fighters, it's like the chicken and broccoli. Is there anything that you like eating during camp, or is it all just like, it's just fuel for me?
It's fuel, but I also like it when it tastes good. So I'm also blessed with like a meal prep company that helps me out. I eat 5 different meals 5 times a day, and yeah, there's a lot of chicken and rice, but there's also cool things. I like the steak and sweet potatoes, that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's good. 5 meals a day. So, how often are you eating?
Every 3 hours.
Wow. Okay, that's good. So you'll probably have to go eat after this. How about your corner? I imagine Jim West is going to be in there. Who else will be in the cage with you that night?
Absolutely, I wouldn't want to fight without Jim. Mike Guy, he's always there. My boxing coach and my manager, Dave's going to be in there. Dave Hirschbein.
Nice. That's excellent. And how do you see this fight playing out? I mean, you feel like you're going to get your hand raised, but finishes, I mean, that's something we saw in the last fight. Do you feel like you can finish Sijara in this matchup?
Wow, you're fishing, you're fishing.
Well, I got to do it. I know every time I ask you this, and you always give me the same thing, but I'm just hoping one time you'll say like, yeah, I'm going to finish her. Yeah, we'll see. So, but
I
we'll
mean,
see.
it's going to be a great fight. I only see one outcome, which is a win. I'm not sure how we're going to get there.
Good stuff. See, I like that answer. I'll accept that. That's cool with me. If you get the win here, I mean, Sijara, she's in a new weight class, but she was very highly touted on the Ultimate Fighter. People were talking about her potentially fighting for the flyweight title. Do you feel like a win will put you in that conversation for the flyweight title, or do you feel like you need a few more fights?
No, I couldn't make flyweight to save my life.
Or sorry, not flyweight, bantamweight. Sorry, I was talking flyweight before. You know what I mean? Yeah, you have to cut a leg
Um,
off. Yeah.
Probably not because she's new to this weight class. So right now it's just another good, tough opponent.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And we talked off the top about, obviously you get out every day and you do the hike. Like that's every single day, like 7 days a week, right? Because I do follow on Instagram. Do you ever miss a day of hiking with your dogs?
No, only like once in a blue moon when I have to, something comes up. But no, it's 7 days a week.
And what if it's like pouring rain? Same thing, or you just bring an umbrella? But you probably don't get much rain where you're at, anyways, right?
It is, oh no, we get a lot. We get a lot. It's pouring right now, and we're going to be out in it. You just dress appropriately.
So how long do you go for?
It depends. It's usually about 3 hours. And then on the
Wow.
weekends, don't even count the time, just more or less mileage. We try to get up there in the doubles somewhere.
So who's taking the pictures? That's what I want to know because like it usually just looks like you're by yourself, but someone has to take the photos as well because they look super cool.
Okay, I have a huge family, and I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and I do a lot with my little brothers. And they actually use that as schoolwork, like photography type stuff sometimes. But they're oftentimes with me, and they'll be taking the photos.
That's cool. Okay, that makes sense, and I'm sure that's a good way to bond with your family. I know as we get older, usually you don't have time to talk to your loved ones, but I guess with you incorporate it with the hiking.
I try to, yeah.
And the dogs must love it. Did they must sleep well at night with the fact you're going out for so long?
They absolutely do. I mean, I have a couple of huskies and a giant German Shepherd thing down there. I mean, they're crazy dogs, so you have to take them out. Works well for my lifestyle.
Is there anywhere you'd like to hike? Because obviously you have the benefit of living in California. There's lots of places to go. Is there somewhere on the bucket list that you'd like to go to do some really high level hiking, like Utah or anything like that?
Oh, I absolutely want to go to Utah. After this fight, for example, and getting a car and things like that, we're going to do a lot of road tripping this year, and I have a whole list of places I want to go. Whole list.
What are some of the places on the list? Because I'm sure if we did the whole list, we'd be here for like an hour. So
Yeah. Definitely Yellowstone, Grand Canyon. There's several parks in Utah I'd like to hit up, and then from there we'll see.
Would you ever consider doing trail running? I actually did my trail race this past weekend here in Vancouver, and it's fun. Like it's tough, but it's a lot of fun. Is that something you could do even with the fact that you're in the UFC?
Oh, that's super neat. How far did you go?
We did eight. So I have to figure out the miles to kilometers, but it was 8.4 kilometers. But it was hills and everything, and it was a lot of like racing. And I actually had to commentate like a local MMA show here in near where I live that night. So on the downhill, I was being like extra careful. I probably could have gone a little bit faster, but I was worried I didn't want to like break an ankle or anything. So. But it's tough when you go up those, as I'm sure you know, as you go up those hills. My lungs, oh man, like I thought I was in good shape, but then when I did those hills, it took a lot out of me. I'm more of like a road runner, I think. So.
Oh, it's the elevation that gets you. You don't even
Yeah,
realize it until
that
you
too.
start.
Yeah, I actually did a couple of years ago, and not to bore my audience here, but I did the CN Tower. I don't know if you know in Toronto, that's like the huge, tower that they have there. So you can actually they do a race every year, and it doesn't take you that long to actually go up the stairs, but it's such a high thing. With the elevation in my head, I was like, okay, I'll keep like a steady pace and we'll go up. I probably got to like the 30th floor and I could not keep my pace because of that elevation, because it goes so drastically. I forget how tall it is, but just it totally takes you out of your element. So I'm sure you experience that as well when you're getting up in the elevation, right? So
Definitely.
cool. All right. Well, Aspen, I'm looking forward to the fight. It's coming up here May 18th, UFC Rochester. I'll let you get out of here. Just remind people where they can find you on social media. And if you have any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours.
Okay. Okay. My name's weird enough. It's Aspen Ladd, and Aspen Ladd MMA is basically all my social media. And I have to thank Ultimate Fitness Food for helping me every single day, 5 times a day, with what I'm eating. And besides that, just my coaches and everybody that helps me on a daily basis, my family. I am excited to go and ready because of them.